And our final story today is from the Sudan, the North African country that has been devastated by the 16-month-long war. The conflict between the Sudanese army and the paramilitary RSF force has killed hundreds of thousands of people and has triggered the world's largest displacement crisis. It has also pushed half of Sudan's population into crisis levels of hunger. Now, to combat the rising food insecurity and famine-like conditions, the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization has launched an emergency seed distribution campaign. The initiative is aimed at distributing seeds to Sudanese farmers. The UN agency will help farmers to grow cereals that can meet the requirement of 13 to 19 million people. Our next report gets you more details.
Over 16 months of war has bruised and battered the northern African nation of Sudan. The raging battle between the Sudanese army and its paramilitary rapid support forces has devastated the country. The fight followed the collapse of a 2022 power-sharing agreement between the two forces. The violence has killed tens of thousands of people. It has displaced more than 10 million people, creating the world's largest displacement crisis, and it's pushed half of the Sudanese population into crisis levels of hunger. According to experts, parts of Sudan are glaring at an imminent risk of famine.
Now, signs of famine started to appear in some places, specifically camps for displaced people in Kordofan and Darfur and other places. The issue may escalate and become impossible to control unless measures are taken that involve certain parties like rapid support forces to commit to humanitarian truces to enable these people to carry on with their daily duties, as well as international organizations to have access to these people to deliver aid.
The severe floods in August added to the woes of the Sudanese people. According to the UN estimates, floods have impacted more than 300,000 people.
We told them that our brothers in Arbit had their dam collapsing. Those poor and those with no resources lost a lot. That's why we are worried. We told the organization that our dam is close to collapsing. Currently, it is broken.
To eliminate the risk of starvation, the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization has launched an emergency seed distribution campaign. The FAO is distributing seeds in Tobin and Shatta villages of the Sudanese state of Red Sea. The initiative is aimed at helping residents combat food insecurity worsened by the ongoing conflict and climate change. Under the program, the UN agency will ensure that farmers have the necessary resources for the production of food.
Last year, the conflict was taking place in large cities and was very limited in agricultural areas, which enabled FAO and other humanitarian organizations to reach these areas very well. We managed to reach more than 1 million farmers, which secured the livelihoods of more than 5 million people and securing food for nearly 15 million people in Sudan. This year, we could not manage to reach half of this number as a result of the expansion of the conflict to agricultural areas, where access to some states became almost impossible, like Kordofan and Darfur. Floods made the situation even worse, which were intense this year.
The FAO plans to reach 5 million people across 7 states. The agency will distribute 10,000 tons of sorghum, millet, groundnut and sesame seeds. These seeds will be planted between November and December this year. The produce will eventually meet the food requirements of around 13 to 19 million people. The United Nations initiative is just the first step towards helping Sudan escape the looming famine. The world body says that with some 25 million people in need of aid and protection, this crisis needs the world's attention.